And don't forget to rinse the mugs, Mickey.
Oh, you character. Nothing suspicious here. Contact Clive. I might just do that. Let's see what is in Mickey's emails. Segment on this new channel, which is retrospective. Basically, this is me looking back at every single episode of New Doctor Who. Series 1, Episode 1, Rose. Now this episode starts off unusually for Doctor Who, with going straight into the title sequence. Because normally there's sort of a pre-title stinger. And then we go into the episode with quite a sort of fast-paced beginning with Rose and Mickey hanging out in London. And then Rose goes to her job. And at the end of her shift, she has to give some lottery money to a man named Wilson. Which is a bit strange. As a kid, I'm probably going to have as a kid or as a child sort of counting the bottom, because I'll be saying that a lot. Because as a child, I didn't really understand a lot of things. So she goes up and tries to give the lottery money, for whatever reason, to Wilson. But it turns out Wilson's dead. Oh no. Then the Autons. And the Autons first returned since Terror of the Autons. They're still quite scary, and I have no idea why they haven't really come back. We sort of had them in the Pandora Opens and the Big Bang, but I know they didn't really feel like Autons because they sort of looked exactly like people, so you lost that aspect. So yeah, so this is the bit where the fast-pacedness of the story slows down and we get to meet the Doctor. And I was so happy when we got to see Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor in this episode, because I hadn't really watched a lot of his stuff recently, because I don't know, he sort of feels like a very underappreciated Doctor. So it's like, leave the domestics outside when they're sort of in the TARDIS or sort of on an adventure. And I like that, because when you're with the Doctor and you're sort of battling monsters, you don't want a relationship story to be going on in the background. Anyway, back to the episode. One of the first things we see this new Doctor do is commit an act of terrorism and blow up a building. He's sort of not really the Doctor yet, because obviously for a long time, we don't know how long he was in the Time War, but he wasn't the Doctor. And again, blowing up a building really shows how undoctory he was being. Then after the explosion, we go back to Rose's flat that we were at the beginning of the episode. Mickey comes in and goes, hey, do you want to go down the pub? Rose is like, there's no reason you want to go down, because there's a match on. And again, as a kid, I didn't know what a match on was. I didn't realise it was like a football match was on. I thought a match on was like a guy, like a one-man band sort of situation, and he sort of performed. Yeah. And this is really the first time we ever really see a companion's normal life and their family, seeing what their life was like before the Doctor entered it. Then we have quite a lot of synthy music in this sort of first episode, especially with like the opening soundtrack. It's not really coherent with the rest of the series, with the sort of far more orchestral score. And I'm guessing that's because it was, a pilot episode of a pilot series. And the cinematography as well, especially in episode 1, it feels a bit lackluster. It doesn't really feel as polished as it does now. And then we have the classic character, Clive the murderer. Oh, he's not a murderer, but he has a very murdery vibe where he takes young girls into his shed. And then he shows Rose all these like photos and drawings of the Doctor. And does that really make sense? Like, would he have what looks like, several months of adventures before we get to this point? Because when the Doctor looks in the mirror, he sort of goes, oh, look at the ears. Then we have the Auton Mickey, which has his sort of face all sweaty and his hair looks fake and weird, and he does those, and he talks in jump cuts. Babe, hello, babe, sweetheart, sugar. And then there is the scene where we get to first see the TARDIS in all its glory. As a kid, I didn't even realise sort of what the Doctor or even the TARDIS was. I didn't realise it was bigger on the inside, so he runs around and does the, oh, it's bigger on the inside thing. And then we see the Nestine consciousness, which, he's alright, isn't he? He's just sort of a big blobby thing. And then when the Autons come alive, they shoot Clive, which, oh, that's a sad moment when they shoot Clive, isn't it? And there's little kid Autons, child Autons. That's a bit weird, isn't it? It's sort of like a empty child situation where there's little kids and now they're killing you. And then right at the end, Rose runs in slow motion into the TARDIS. Not a great ending. I think overall I'd probably give this episode a 6 out of 10, which isn't to say it's a bad episode, it's just sort of, it's good at what it does. I mean, it's not going to be anything spectacular in 45 minutes to set up literally everything in which we still use today, really.